Stop for a second and listen closely, because what you repeat to yourself every single day is not harmless. It is shaping your reality in ways most people never notice. There is a quiet pattern running in the background of your life, and it is built from simple words, small phrases, things you say without thinking. Most people wake up and start repeating doubt, fear, delay, and confusion without even realizing it. They say things like "not now," "maybe later," "this is hard," and over time those words become instructions. The mind listens, the body follows. Life begins to reflect it back. That is why things feel slow, stuck, or out of control. Not because life is against you, but because your inner language is working against you. Now here is where it changes. There are three words, simple and direct, that when repeated with intention can begin to shift your focus, your energy, and your actions within a very short time. Not weeks, not months, but something you can begin to feel within a single day if done the right way. This is not about magic, and it is not about blind belief. It is about how the human mind responds to repetition, certainty, and emotional direction. Science has already shown that the brain cannot clearly separate a repeated thought from a real experience when it is backed by emotion. That means the words you repeat are not just sounds, they are signals, they are commands, they are instructions that slowly rewrite how you think, how you act, and what you notice around you. In this video, you are going to learn exactly what these three words are, why they work faster than long affirmations, and how to use them in a way that actually creates movement in your life. You will understand why most people fail even when they try to stay positive, and what small mistake quietly cancels their progress without them realizing it. You will also learn how timing, emotion, and repetition combine to make something stick inside your mind so deeply that it starts influencing your behavior automatically. There is a reason short phrases have been used for centuries in different cultures. From chants to prayers to focused repetition techniques, the power was never in the length of the words. It was always in the clarity and the feeling behind them. And here is the part that most people overlook. When you repeat something simple enough, your mind stops resisting it. Long sentences create doubt. Complicated affirmations feel fake, but short, clear words can slip past that resistance and go straight into your belief system. As this continues, you will start to notice how your attention shifts. You will catch yourself thinking differently. You will respond differently to situations that used to feel heavy. That is the beginning of change. Not something loud or dramatic, but something subtle that builds quickly. Many people miss this stage because they are waiting for instant results without understanding that the real shift starts internally before it shows externally. And when it does begin to show, it often feels like things are aligning faster than usual. Opportunities seem clearer, decisions feel easier, energy becomes more focused. This is not coincidence, it is the result of directing your mind instead of letting it run on default patterns. The truth is, you are already repeating something every day. The only question is whether those words are building the life you want or reinforcing the life you are trying to escape. Stay with this video until the end, because the way you use these three words matters just as much as the words themselves. There is a specific method that makes them effective, and missing that detail is exactly why most people try techniques like this and see no results. By the end, you will not only know what to say, but how to say it, when to say it, and how to make it stick in a way that actually creates momentum within 24 hours. This is simple, but it is not casual. Small shifts done with intention can create fast changes, and once you understand this, you will never speak to yourself the same way again. Welcome to the channel, where we break down powerful ideas into simple actions that actually work. If you are ready to start changing the way your mind works and the way your life responds, make sure you subscribe and stay connected, because the next part might be exactly what you have been missing. There is a quiet reason why manifestation feels like it fails for most people, And it has nothing to do with luck or timing. It starts with the way people speak to themselves every day. Long affirmations sound powerful on the surface, but deep inside they often create resistance. The mind hears a long sentence that does not match current belief, and instead of accepting it, it pushes back. A person can repeat something for minutes, even hours, but if there is no real belief behind it, the words stay on the surface. They never sink in. That is where the disconnect begins. Words are spoken, but emotions tell a different story. The voice says one thing, the feeling says another, and the mind always follows what feels real, not what sounds good. This is why people get frustrated. They think they are doing everything right, but nothing changes. The problem is not effort. The problem is alignment. It's not that manifestation is slow, it's that your words are weak. Weak not because they are negative, but because they are uncertain. They carry doubt inside them. Even a positive sentence can be weak if it feels forced. And when words are weak, they cannot guide the mind in a clear direction. This is where a small but powerful shift begins. Instead of using long, complicated affirmations, the focus moves to something much simpler. Power words, short phrases that carry clarity, certainty, and emotion. The brain responds better to simplicity. It holds on to what is easy to repeat. It builds patterns faster when the message is clear and consistent. When fewer words are used, there is less room for doubt to hide. Each word becomes stronger because it is not competing with unnecessary language. The mind does not need long sentences, it needs certainty. When a phrase is simple, it can be repeated more often. When it is repeated more often, it starts to feel familiar. And when something feels familiar, it begins to feel true. This is how belief is built, not through complexity, but through consistency. Emotion plays a key role here. When repetition is combined with feeling, the message goes deeper. It is no longer just heard, it is experienced. That is when real change starts to take place. Now the focus moves to the three words. Not random words, not complicated phrases, but something direct and intentional. Before they are revealed, it is important to understand why only three. Three words are short enough to remember, simple enough to repeat, and strong enough to hold meaning without confusion. When the mind hears something clear, it does not struggle to process it, it accepts it faster. That is why these words are not long or detailed. They are designed to bypass resistance and go straight into the belief system. The phrase is "it is done." Each word carries weight. It points to what you want without needing to explain it. Is brings it into the present moment, removing delay. Done removes doubt, hesitation, and waiting. Together they create a feeling of completion, not something that will happen, but something that already exists. This is where resistance starts to drop. When the mind hears that something is already done, it stops searching for reasons why it cannot happen. It begins to align with the idea that it is already real. Each word has intention behind it. It keeps the focus open, allowing the mind to attach it to any desire without confusion. Is keeps everything grounded in the present because the present is the only moment where action and change can happen. Done closes the gap between wanting and having. It removes the feeling of chasing something far away. This combination creates a sense of certainty, and certainty is what the mind follows. When there is certainty, actions become more direct, decisions become clearer, doubt becomes quieter. This is how a simple phrase begins to influence reality, not by forcing anything, but by changing the internal state that drives behavior. The reason this works goes deeper than surface-level motivation. Repetition creates belief. The brain is designed to adapt to what it hears often. When a thought is repeated enough times, it starts to feel normal. When it feels normal, it becomes part of identity. That identity then shapes behavior. Behavior influences results, and results reinforce belief. This cycle continues until the new pattern becomes natural. Words lead to thoughts, thoughts create feelings, Feelings drive actions, actions shape reality. When this chain is understood, it becomes clear why simple repetition can create powerful change. It is not about forcing outcomes. It is about guiding the internal process that leads to those outcomes. When the phrase "it is done" is repeated with intention, the mind begins to shift. Thoughts become less scattered. There is less overthinking. Instead of focusing on what is missing, attention moves toward what is already accepted as real. This changes emotional response. Stress reduces because there is less attachment to waiting. Confidence grows because the mind feels certain instead of confused. These emotional changes influence behavior. A person becomes more decisive. They take action without hesitation. They respond to opportunities instead of ignoring them. Over time, these actions create visible results, and those results strengthen the belief even more. Using this method requires a simple approach, but it must be done with attention. The phrase should be repeated slowly, not rushed. Each word should be felt, not just spoken. It is not about speed, it is about depth. Saying it quickly without feeling does nothing. Saying it slowly with intention creates impact. The best moments to use it are when the mind is most open. Early in the morning, before the day begins, when thoughts are still calm. At night, before sleep, when the mind is more receptive. And during moments of doubt when negative thoughts start to rise. These are the times when repetition has the strongest effect. The key is consistency, not once, not occasionally, but regularly. The more it is repeated, the stronger it becomes. But repetition alone is not enough. Feeling must be present. The phrase must be believed, even if only slightly at the beginning. That belief will grow with time. There are common mistakes that stop this from working. One of the biggest is saying the words without belief. If the phrase is repeated while feeling doubt, the mind picks up on the doubt instead of the words. Another mistake is expecting instant results after saying it once. This creates pressure and frustration. The process is not about instant transformation, but about starting a shift that builds quickly. Mixing the phrase with negative thinking also weakens its effect. Saying "it is done" and then immediately thinking "this will never work" cancels the impact. The mind becomes confused, and confusion slows progress. Consistency and clarity are required for this to work. There is also a tendency to check for results too often. This creates impatience. It interrupts the natural process of change. It is like planting a seed and digging it up repeatedly to see if it has grown. Growth happens when there is trust and consistency, not when there is constant checking and doubt. The phrase should be used with calm focus, not desperation. It should feel natural, not forced. Over time, it becomes part of daily thinking. That is when it starts to influence behavior without effort. At the same time, it is important to stay grounded. This is not instant magic. It does not replace action or effort. It works by aligning thoughts, emotions, and behavior in the same direction. When alignment is present, progress feels faster. Results begin to show in subtle ways at first. A shift in mindset, a change in reaction, a new sense of clarity. These small changes build momentum, and that momentum leads to bigger outcomes. The phrase does not create results on its own. It creates the internal conditions that allow results to happen more naturally and more quickly. When the mind is focused and certain, actions become more effective. There is less hesitation, less second guessing. Energy is directed instead of scattered. This is where the speed comes from, not from forcing outcomes, but from removing resistance. When resistance is low, progress feels faster. That is why results can begin to show within a short time, not because something magical happened, but because the internal state shifted quickly. As repetition continues, the phrase becomes automatic. It starts to appear in moments without effort. During stress, during decisions, during quiet moments. This is when it becomes powerful. It is no longer something that needs to be remembered. It becomes part of thinking itself. And when thinking changes, everything connected to it begins to change as well. The way situations are seen, the way choices are made, the way challenges are handled, all of it begins to align with the idea that things are already working out. The simplicity of this method is what makes it effective. No long explanations, no complicated steps, just clear, repeated intention, the kind that the mind can accept without resistance. Over time, it builds a strong internal foundation, one that supports consistent action and steady progress. And as this continues, the gap between intention and reality becomes smaller, not because something outside suddenly changed, but because everything inside became aligned in one clear direction. Right now, even in silence, something is being repeated inside your mind, a quiet sentence, a familiar pattern. And whether you notice it or not, that repetition is shaping your direction. Every thought you return to, every word you allow to stay, is slowly building something. This is not something that turns on and off. It is always active, always working in the background. That means you are never neutral. You are either reinforcing what you want or strengthening what you don't. The difference is awareness. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You start catching the words that weaken you, the ones that slow you down, the ones that create hesitation, and in that moment you have a choice. Replace them with something stronger, something clear, something certain, because the words you repeat do not just describe your life, they direct it. They influence how you think, how you feel, and how you act when it matters most. This is where real control begins. Not by changing everything at once, but by changing what you repeat consistently. Small words, repeated with intention, can shift your focus faster than you expect. And once your focus shifts, your actions follow. Then your results begin to change. Quietly at first, then more clearly, until one day you realize that something inside you is no longer the same. So from this moment, pay attention to what you allow to stay in your mind. Choose words that support you. Choose words that move you forward. Choose words that create clarity instead of confusion. Because in the end, the question is not if your words are working. The question is, what are they creating? If this gave you a new way to think, stay connected with this channel. Like this video, share it with someone who needs this shift, and subscribe for more content that helps you take control of your mindset and your direction.